So we are live, no? With this, we should be live, right? Yeah, I think I have no more excuses yet again. So here we are. Amazing. Uh, I don't know. I think it is quite fun to see that, despite me not really trying, let's say like this, not really trying to consistently wake up properly at an earlier time. I had been slowly shifting my own schedule to suit that idea a little bit more. And I don't know, one of the few problems that I do have with that whole concept is certainly that we eat quite late in my house, so I didn't expect that I would have needed to wait for so long. Like, yeah, I didn't know this fact. You need to wait supposedly like 3 hours before going to sleep. And I think if it is that I did it, I did it unconsciously before. But yeah, because basically that's one of the main reasons as to why I never went to bed directly after eating, despite having the possibility. But I don't know. Here we are. So that's better than nothing. Welcome. I don't know if I can. I guess I can say the word supposedly. If it lets you have it as in your username, I guess I can say it. So, welcome, lazy incel. Welcome. Um, I guess I don't really know, but yeah. Anyways, welcome. So, what else? Ah, yeah. Obviously, I am quite sleepy. Let's say. So I'm a little bit still lost about what is it that we might try to even talk about, certainly. But that besides, I yeah, I also do have some yeah, I already have a lot of ideas prepared. Also, holy give me okay, so as I was trying to say before I almost choked, I do have some ideas as to what we might try to talk about, certainly. I mean, as always, one of the few advantages of taking so long between streams is that it gives me time to minimally try to order whichever is it that we might try to go for later on. So that does feel nice, I feel so. And because of that, we have quite a lot of things to go over. Certainly, although it will be quite a problem because, as always, no, the amount of ideas that I want to talk about keeps expanding, and yeah, I am literally being my worst enemy here by by not being consistent, but that's my own problem. So we will have to deal with that later on. And I guess we are also already on the weekend, so I should supposedly have no problems on trying to get the consistency back and all of that, or the remaining of the week slash weekend. So yeah, we will see how that goes. But anyways, um, I don't, I don't have anything more, right? Yeah, we are probably close to the time running out. So that's everything that I can say so far. Let me see. We have everything. I needed to change something. And properties, yeah. I have 10 seconds to do it. Let me. Okay, there it is. We are in time. Amazing. I am fully prepared. Professional. Anyways, hello people. Welcome. It has been certainly quite a long time since the last occasion. Um, but as always, it is, regardless, a pleasure to be here. Hi, and I hope everything is going fine. Uh, yeah, as always, thanks for being here. Thanks for watching the board. Thanks for lurking. Thanks for everything. Welcome, people. Today in particular, it was yeah. Today in particular, we have only Lazy Insel to say hello to. Uh, yeah, that's that as always. The beginning, as we will say, and nothing more really to add. But well, uh, so here we are. I think I have some ideas as to what is it that I wanted to talk about, and I think I have some minimal drafts of thoughts that I would like to visit. I will certainly need to organize them a little bit. So, uh, if we notice that I am quite scatterbrained, it is certainly because of that. I am just trying fiercely to even give it a proper cohesive narrative. After all, I have noticed that one of the easiest things, at the very least, I find, is the fact that you can very much by trying your best and trying consistently enough to put the things that one does talk about in in a how to say it, in a line of thoughts or something like that, in which you can basically see how everything is threaded together. It ends up being quite more comprehensible. And although it is already by itself quite an intrinsic act, because after all, it ends up being almost impossible for anybody to randomly move for something, yeah, for any topic to something completely unrelated. It is even better, let's say like that, it is even better when you can consciously order in an even more tidied up manner which things is that you're going to try and go over. So yeah, I don't know. I we're basically trying to do that meanwhile. But regardless, so it has been, as always, it has been quite a long time since the last occasion. Already almost 3 days, I think so. So yeah, uh, as always, stuff keeps happening. Certainly, we don't exist only in the void of internet. So I guess that's quite nice after all. Do not have to worry about your own existence. Besides being in a place like this, let's say, but it is quite crazy still to consider the fact that certainly by being here, we end up, let's say, dealing with a lot of stuff that otherwise would have been quite impossible to. And it, yeah, as always, we lose some capacity over exploring some concepts and doing what's certainly our biggest interest, but we still have time, probably this week. If I said it before, I will have to order myself and I will have to organize myself. So sorry, I will have to do that, and we will try to see if I can properly, probably in the next two streams or so, try to do our most basic job of reading a little bit and also continuing with the study session. We're like 2 videos close to finishing that. So also we're finally going to finish the first um, lectures or lecture course, and something that I will have a problem because I haven't solved yet is the fact that we also need to find something else to continue studying later on. I didn't think about that before, so now I will have to deal with that problem. But yeah, we still have time. We haven't even finished the first lecture course, so certainly that's quote unquote good. But yeah, uh, give me a second yet again. Yeah. Anyways, sorry. As always, I had to barely waking up means that you need to constantly what's the proper way to say it? Cough, something like that, to make your throat also wake up because it certainly is not in a normal state right now. So it needs some activity to start functioning properly. But yeah, I don't know. Uh, anyways, I was yeah, let me start with something. I have a lot of stuff to talk about. Let me start with something. I was I was lately considering, and I was lately spending some time observing. Um, I think it is called Das Kapital, the capital basically from Marx, and it it has been quite an interesting reading. Although something that I didn't expect is how the nature itself of the book was very. Yeah, the book itself is quite long, and certainly I haven't been told such a fact before. But what I didn't expect is that it is so easily digestible on one hand, while uh, yeah, it doesn't really have that much to deal with the fact itself of how easy or not is the book to read. But there is quite a big, I believe it is a problem, and that is the amount of notes and corrections and all of that it has makes it quite complex to move through the text itself. There are uh, there are a lot of additions and there are a lot of concepts that end up being pointed out. Some of them certainly seem interesting to be properly pointed out because in a certain way what does happen in the process is um, I guess I don't really have the context for that, so sorry if I am wrong. But supposedly, um, the Capital was written before Marx really became truly influential, so a lot of his theories were being said not because he was truly sure about how they work, but rather because he was proposing them and letting the conversation itself start with his peers in order to try and see if what he was capable of, yeah, of machinating on his own made any particular sense for what ended up being um, the economic sciences and such. So it is needed for a lot of those earlier examples to be later on shown as true or yeah, be in any particular way compared to real life examples. Because there is, for example, like you can spend probably like 2 hours or three reading about how, yeah, in Spanish it is levitas, and I don't know what will the proper translation be. Something like iron bars or something like that. And it is quite complex to understand it if you don't get what the word itself means. But it also is surrounded in like how many, probably all of that reading itself has between 30 and 40 different footnotes and such, and all of that ends up adding up to the enrichment of the text, certainly. But the problem is, some things are also quite unnecessary because the nature itself that is um, yeah, that is of the book makes it quite annoying to try sometimes and keep reading because you notice that not just as a how to say it is not just a text pertaining social classes, nor obviously also everything that is minimally related to what's the word? Yeah, oh, it's obviously economy, but what does happen in the way is that it it has a lot of rivalries that it tries to solve. And for example, something that I didn't understand when I got told about it, there is a lot of hidden, not hidden. What will be the word? Uh, okay, there are a lot of underlying, um, yeah, rivalries that Marx had, and throughout the book you keep exploring them also, and because you have to deal with that, you end up having a lot of times to try and process everything that is related also to Marx himself. On one hand, and also, this doesn't mean that the text itself loses meaning, but rather that if you have never heard about it, probably you'll expect it to be a proper manuscript only containing ideas related to what is being the main topic of the title, no? The capital and the capitalist societies and such. But the problem is also there are a lot of other ideas. As I said before, for example, there is a lot of the social aspect, and there are also ways in which you can. Ah, okay, that's the word. There is a lot of philosophical debate, and I wasn't expecting that. I was supposing that it was completely economical and pertaining to basically that to the economical sciences, not in any way related to philosophy and to nature and epistemology and anything like that. I was surprised by that, but yeah, anyways, I guess the point and what I don't know if I said it or not. I think I have been avoiding it. Um, the main idea, main main idea as always is, was it a good reading or not? I don't really know if it was all that good with all the notes that it has and all of that, but it certainly is quite refreshing to intake all of the perspectives of someone like that. It does add a lot of variety into the concepts that you might believe you already know and such. It it is useful to consider, and I guess, yeah, even more later on when it starts also devolving into the social aspects of economy and such. If you are in any particular way interested in what are social sciences, you might very well need to read it. After all, it does yeah, it does contain, or at the very least, it has a lot of parts pertaining to the fact that yeah, we are social animals still, and there are a lot of things that do happen. Sorry for that, I didn't even want to mute this time. There are a lot of things that do happen around, and there are a lot of ideas that are being always discussed that you can realize can be applied even if you ignore the aspects of the economy itself, and because of that, it gets quite an intriguing and also useful um, variety of ideas contained inside of itself. And yeah, I don't know. I think I wouldn't. Yeah, it is quite long. I I wouldn't probably recommend it for everyone, let's say. It is interesting, but it isn't for everyone in terms of it takes too much time to go through the whole book, certainly. But the main idea, at the very least, still remains of you get, yeah, you get the pleasure of, if you take the challenge of reading it, you get the pleasure of learning about all of the other branches of contents that are also contained inside of that. I mean, for example, yeah, that's what I meant. I can't remember now. One of the few things that did happen was there is not that there is one. There are a lot of multiple examples or multiple points in which, um, for the arguments that Marx tries to make, a need to go back to older times, and not older times as in older Soviet Union. No, it is older times as in they ended up going to Aristotle's and such people and Plato, and it was like, what? But yeah, it is quite understandable still. I guess I don't know. I liked it. That's the main point. With that I am happy. And yeah, regardless, it is already time for us to do something else. I just wanted to comment on that a little bit. I mean, I have probably spent like at this point uh, 5 4 hours going through that book. So certainly I need to talk about any of that in some way before I exploded, because I didn't even get to communicate that. Wow, it has been a worthwhile reading. Amazing. So yeah. Uh, anyways, let me see. Uh, can I make this work, Grita? Are we operating, Grita? Also, why do I have the fuck? Anyways, okay, there it is. So yeah, let me. There it is, Grita. Amazing content, they will say, probably. So, I didn't change the I didn't change the size of the brush. Give me a second. But yeah, anyways, as I was trying to say before I noticed my tiny error, I guess certainly we are going to try and talk out some ideas. As it says even in the title, no, I have been macerating them, and I have been quite lately having a lot of observations to try and explain, let's say. But I don't know. I guess the problem still is to see which one of them can be minimally cohesive for all of this craziness, no? But let me something like okay. Benefit. Ah, yeah, it goes with a T, certainly. English beneficial. It goes with a T. Does it go with a T? I will have to check. I don't. I forgot. Uh, let me see. Beneficial. It does go with a T, right? Uh, beneficial. Which one of them is it? Uh, okay. You can use both types. both types of way to write the same word. Anyways, yeah. So, sorry for not knowing Spanish. Spanish, English. Anyways, how beneficial is knowledge? Let's start with that basically. Yeah, because yeah, one of the few things that have been happening and that have been quite the main, pretty much the main topic in a lot of classes that we have been having, and not even lately. It is like a focal point of the whole career almost, or at least if this first year, and that is how useful it is for anybody to try and learn and such. And the problem ends up being, despite all of this, certainly having, I believe, one proper way to see it, you also in the process lose a lot of opportunities to discover what ends up also being, um, let's say, added behind that, because the nature itself of the analysis of knowledge requires you to some extent, at the very least, try to make it as if you somehow understood what was it that was going on. And a lot of people doesn't really have this capacity, and a lot of people even less tries to cultivate this capacity, because discerning what is proper knowledge and such is not something that you are innately born with. It is something that you use, yeah, it is that critical eye that I am pretty sure. Yeah, I am probably using it again, an example that I know about. Let me let me explain it. How to- yeah, let me do it like this. Uh, so there is always this main idea in which you can develop a critical eye, or yeah, or become a critic itself, even if the critical eye term isn't really translatable to English, probably. You can become a part of the critique of something, and you can, by properly learning out all of the aspects that derive from what you are observing by itself, you can quite correctly obtain enough information for you to become capable, not in a sense of becoming the critique that is related or that is in any way associated with those who do publish their information out there, but rather for your own benefit. You can learn how to criticize and how to, yeah, to integrate information that you're observing in order to realize if what you have in front of you, by the first impressions that you get, or even if it isn't only just the first impressions, by most of what you can extract out of your observations made with the, yeah, with all of the evidence that is given to you related to those things that you are by yourself observing, with that the critical eye concept ends up being quite useful, because certainly it does refer to the idea of, with enough patience, you can by yourself become capable of judging which things is it that you're going to spend your time on. In this case, we're talking about knowledge. So, which times is it that you're going to spend your time on learning or not? As you have also realized that there are some things that are quite useful and quite interesting to try and learn about, while there are others that won't even mm, possess the quality of being entertaining by themselves, because they certainly possess no side to them to which you can um, associate any type of worthiness besides at the very quote unquote best the entertainment factor. But yeah, so how do I say all of that here? Okay, I think something like this. S- hmm, I am going to fit this whole word here. Yeah. Yeah, it is going to fit. Albeit quite differently from expected. It did fit. Ah, there is a there is a better way to describe this. I am going to say judgment, but there is something like a. It is between judgments and calls, and I think it pertains to the senses, the description that I am searching, but I can't really remember that. Anyways, um, yeah, basically this in short. Anyways, yeah. Um, so I think I didn't even say it before. Basically, the concept of developing or working on a critical eye pertains to the side of by properly processing every type of information that is given to you regarding one field of knowledge. You also become, as long as you are actively trying that, you become capable of discerning which things do help you in the process of even more later on, building upon what you already have in your hands for the sake of certainly um, obtaining even better and bigger perceptions and realizations about which, yeah. which is it that you're lacking for you to keep building yourself up in order to become an even better comprehender, let's say, about your desired topic. In that case, that's why it is quite necessary for anybody, not for you, for anybody, to understand what is beforehand even the idea of having a critical eye. Because certainly we're going to talk about the knowledge itself, and in this case, it is literally one of the main necessities. I think so. But yeah. Um. Anyways, moving on to the main question now for real. Let me also. There should be a question mark here. There it is. So, how do we go over this? How beneficial is knowledge? Certainly an easy question, no? Because that's what we like here. Easiest of the questions. Uh, so beneficial is knowledge, certainly. Um, where do we even start? I I I had an idea, and I decided to go with the most random shit possible. Ah man. Okay. Let's start with the easiest. Um, uh, so, I think I can explain it, but probably it will take me the whole. I am going to try and make it short. I don't want to spend the whole stream on literally just the one idea. My bad, probably. I chose one of the worst things to try and explore in a short stream. Anyways, what is beneficial? Easy question, no? Well, I mean, I am going to need, yeah, I will yet again need to go back here. Um, let me also define another thing. Uh, I will do it outside of that. I don't want to make it so complicated. I prefer to do it outside of that. That's like a line. Uh, pursued. Yeah, I think you can say that, right? Pursue. Well, I mean, I made an explanation for something that is quite vague still. Anyways, so yeah, first, before moving back to here, because there is certainly a way in which you can see how knowledge can be beneficial. Or, I mean, not a way, the most direct way to establish the importance of knowledge, no? And it is certainly to establish that in this case, first and foremost, we're talking about the idea of life goal, and that is certainly what does happen when you as a human can define that what you are going for would be worth enough pursuing, even if you had, let's say, 90 years old, and even if you were to lose your sight, and even if you were to lose your voice, even if you were to lose everything that slowly makes you be who you are right now, you will still be pursuing because you have decided and to focus on something that is worth enough going for, and because you have realized that that particular thing to which you have decided to aspire to certainly possesses enough of an importance so that you can always make it worth it as long as you are going after that one thing. And here lies, quote unquote, the problem, and that is certainly it is not so easy to define something like this because the life goal is something that every single individual should be trying to define for themselves. And if in the process of doing that, you adopt a definition given to you by somebody outside of your own perceptions, you might very well be ensuring that you're going to have an incredibly unnecessarily also hard time because the notion of a life goal when it isn't built by your own mind and created based on your own perspectives on all of that which makes you be who you are, and also all of that which also contains your different aspirations and such, will end up, I believe so, unavoidably leading almost to the discontent born out of realizing that when you were given the possibility of choosing something that was really going to be useful for you, in a sense of it isn't like there really is only one possibility. Also, I am only proposing this to make the example understandable. That is a completely different question. But in the case of you having to ask yourself if what you are doing or what you are going for in your goal in life, you end up realizing that what you had in mind, quote unquote, wasn't really your own idea, but rather something that was imposed from the outside. That is when you have to fight almost the ideas that you created in order to try and realize maybe if what you can alter your life into can truly become then worth enough of your existence, let's say. And if it can't even happen like that because you have made, quote unquote, so many errors, then it does happen that your goal in life must then be aligned to something minimally useful to sustain your existence for as long as it is going to last, based already on the knowledge that you have lost the possibility of deciding on something truly useful. But, anyways, we are stranding from the main point here. Give me a second. So yeah, basically that, no, and that's the quote unquote definition of life goal. The problem is once again, you can't really give it a proper or a shorter definition, or no, yeah, a more concise definition. That is the word, because we literally can have completely opposing life goals, and they are still life goals. So the more words you try to use to describe it, and the more terms you make and rules and all of that, the more some people lose the possibility of calling what they have a proper life goal based on that definition which we are using. So, anyways, going back to this, because as I said before, we need to explore first if we are going to try to define the utility of knowledge and whatever. Um, we need to have that. So, what's the trust? Probably interested isn't the word, but yeah, I will prefer rather than what the fuck. Um, my dogs. Anyways, also wait, are they being picked up? No. Hmm? Welcome, Crispian. Welcome, welcome. Hola. Muy buena. Give me a second so that I can define this minimally. Okay. And after that, I will try to. So, okay, there it is. So, before reading all of this, we are right now trying to explain somehow um, how beneficial is knowledge? We already have, just in case, two definitions given. The first one is the idea of a life goal. I don't think they are really that necessary to define, but just in case, no? To be on the same page, let's say, um, the definitions of life goal and also the definition of critical eye is what we have right now. So, with both of those in hand, we're only making, as of right now, as of this instant, continuing with the explanation, um, usage of life goal to make one argument, and that is what is by itself beneficial, because there is certainly something that we are taking for granted, let's say here, and that is that knowledge can be beneficial in some way, but how is it that you can even measure if the utility of a certain knowledge exists or not, based on which standards? Because if not, you might say that everything is beneficial as long as it is capable of being learned. But that by itself is not the type of definition for which we are going here. So, yeah, here, now, applied to the particular example that we have in front of us, continuing with what is beneficial, we end up moving on onto the itself comprehension of when somebody is capable of deciding for themselves a life goal that is suitable enough for them to go for, and they also realize that this one objective ends up being so complicated and so overly massive, let's say, for them, that they need to solve problems that are outside of their actual realm of comprehension, because certainly something that I I quite didn't explain before, fuck, um, happens here. Something that does happen here is certainly the realization of not only are you by yourself dealing with your life goal in a term of maybe I have defined that what I want to have in my existence is I don't know, I want to enjoy every single day eating ice cream. Maybe let's suppose that can be completely a life goal, but at the very same time, you can also have a life goal related to as a human being. I will try my best to solve every single one of the diseases that plagues the human body because I want to observe the human race achieve its peak. Either of the, yeah, both of those can be life goals. The problem with one of them is certainly that in one you will need to have a lot of knowledge, and for the other, the necessity of comprehending the world around you ends up being a lot smaller. And even if it is smaller, both of them do require you to learn about the environment in which you are situated so that you can properly try to spend your time doing those things which you enjoy, let's say. Even if we are, it sounds quite schizophrenic, sorry. Even if it is impossible to see it at first, to a certain extent, the happiness found in both of those humans can be determined to be the same because they are being, yeah, they are beings who are capable of enjoying doing things that they have realized are worth enough for them and for their time that is going to, yeah, for the remaining time in their lives. So now, by having made this realization, it is that they need to move into the phase of properly putting everything together so that they can now properly also try to every single day experience those things to which their life goal pertains, let's say. In this case, be it eating ice cream, solving every single human disease, or becoming the best at any particular field of expertise, the process of doing that has particular steps to which you need to, yeah, not you, every single human needs to observe and realize which parts of that very same process needs to be revised in order to properly get into the conclusions needed for the fulfillment of that goal, implying that it can be somehow solved in your remaining life, or that it can be at the very least, if not sustained throughout the remaining of your life. So yeah, now I think it is. Yeah, we are starting with something, but I didn't choose an easy question. Fuck. Anyways, I could have chose something easier, but I guess I went with something not so digestible. My bad. Sorry. I yeah, a definition that doesn't get to solve. Oh, but I mean, I can define that, or I can explain it and later on define. I guess I can. Yeah, I will define it. It is short. Uh, which thing uh, contribute. Okay, there it is. So, something that I realized I didn't do before that was to properly explain uh, the response itself. I think we are minimally starting to solve what is beneficial in a very indirect manner. I think it is it's an intrinsic knowledge more than an explicit one. But yeah, um, if not, I can still say it later on. Because here, main point, this one. Once you have realized that you have something that you wish to offer in your life, you have also realized that there are at the very least one, or more normally, obviously, a lot, as it is said, a plethora of different problems that do keep you from always obtaining that which you aspire to. Not because that thing that you are going for, even if that might be the case, is impossible to obtain, but rather because those aspirations of you are limited by incapacities that you have realized you have in your hands. So, in order to be capable of surmounting those problems that are right now affecting you, it is necessary for you as a human being to adapt to the situations themselves to which you have now found yourself incapable of solving. Um, and in order to do that, there is where we go back to this definition um, of quote unquote adaptation. Um, the process of adapting it is one in which you need to understand which things is it that are useful for you um, in order to once again go for that goal, or which ones are at the very least unnecessary because they don't have any more any particular utility for you to, yeah, for you to keep going basically, or for you to keep using them in your own life goal, be it whatever. So in this case, all of this, as I said before, just in case, um, be, instead of the confinements of the question of how beneficial is knowledge and what is beneficial by itself, we can start to define, let's say, something like this. This is, I guess, certain this is just the beginning of a definition. Um, Okay, so let me drink some water. I am thirsty already. Anyways, so we're on we're on this thing that basically, just in case if it isn't understandable yet, or if it isn't already understood, beneficial is every single type of knowledge in this case that lets you get closer to that particular goal to which you are aspiring. I guess I did mention something like that here, right? I'm pretty sure that I did mention something along these lines in that all other definition. So yeah. Anyways, um, that is to begin with, and a minimal explanation as to how you can, in any particular way, find knowledge useful. But obviously, there are different. There are other problems that later on appear, and that is why this question is problematic because in the void itself, that is everything you need to know. How useful is knowledge, and how you can even define it as good. Okay, that's everything so far. You can zoom out if and only if you live in the complete void of a non civilized humanity. Because certainly nowadays there are like 20 other different things that you also need to take into consideration if you want in any particular way to think about how useful can the knowledge be. Because fuck, yeah, can we give it like a second? My dogs are fighting, so let's wait for them to calm down. I guess. second, give it a second. Okay, 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 okay. My dogs stopped barking, so I can finally talk. But anyways, so before continuing, let me finish this. For the final point, I don't want to keep going with this. It does have a lot of things to consider, but I won't consider them today. Um, yeah, I don't know. This is certainly a complex idea, and I don't like just waking up and starting with incredibly complex stuff. So, anyways, continuing with my fucking dog. Shut up. Anyways, sorry. Anyways, so as I said before, if we lived in the complete void of a space and we didn't have to worry about anything else, this here will be fine. And this here will suffice a minimal response as to how can you, in any particular way, say that knowledge is good or not. And also there are some other rules that are not explicit here, but end up being implied in these three ones. Because as we are human beings and as we have a quote unquote tendency, more in reality and necessity, over living in societies and also because we needed to keep existing in order to fulfill those life goals, there I think it is not directly okay, not explicitly said, but your goal, holy fucking dogs, your goal should be one that is capable of ensuring that you are going to keep yourself alive. It shouldn't be quote unquote a death goal, one that ensures that you are going to die. Let's say it is something that only appears once you have found those proper definitions in order for you, not definitions, so those proper objectives in order for you to keep striving every single day that you can, so that you can be sure that your existence, as long as it lasts, is going to be worth it caring in this world. So, I, with that in mind, once again, it is that we end up going into these rules, and that is first and foremost, it needs to be moral, it needs then to be ethic, and it also obviously needs to not be negative, harmful, damaging, however is it that you want to say it, for your own self. Because if any of these three things are not being complied in any particular way, the goal that you present to the world, let's say, even if you are certainly not explicitly saying to everybody that what you have in mind is something that everybody should be interested in observing, um, you go for, it will still be an event that will obviously occur. That if your goal in any way seems to be non compliant with any of this, you're going to be stopped from obtaining that goal. So, certainly, as I said before, in the complete void of emptiness, of you yourself and nothing else, you can disregard these three rules. But the reality is, we don't live in such a world, so it is necessary to make this short notation, quote unquote. So, yeah, anyways, now the final point that I wanted to make. After having properly defined what is beneficial, um, and also because I didn't even make use of the critical eye right now, that is finally where it goes. Okay, there it is. Oh man. So I the fuck? I changed. My bad. Anyways, anyways, so to round this up, the final part that I should have put somewhere else instead of directly making it a direct response for this main question. The problem was that I ended up running out of space here. Uh, and the biggest problem was this whole thing, certainly. Anyways, so back to this. Once you have, as we have established already, once you have find which is it that you have as a life goal, and once you have understood the concept of adaptation, it is that you end up once again observing something pretty much uh, an analogy of adaptation, and that is the discerning eye. Once again, just in case, discerning eye, critical eye, objective or subjectively useful, whatever is it that you can define, or whichever type of definition is it that you want to use. All of that basically relates to this one capacity of observing also which type of knowledges are now you going to integrate into your objective and which of them are going to really be useful enough for you to try and spend your time instead of pursuing that objective to spend it on to learning something that might very well benefit you in order for you to keep trying, obviously, ensuring that your objective will always be mm, guaranteed, let's say. Or if, at the very least, on the other hand, what you might be trying to get yourself into has no alignment whatsoever with what you are truly trying to aspire to. So, with all of this said, uh, wording it differently, because I wanted to respond to that basically also. Uh, there is this whole notion of sometimes there is no usage for knowledge that is accumulated but never applied. And although it is quite certain that not applying the knowledge that you gain in any particular situation um, might be detrimental for your own self, because certainly you have I feel so, the necessity of using those things that you spend your time trying to process. What is lost in the way is you pretty much also have almost an obligation towards trying always your best to be capable of processing and obviously, quote unquote, painting a clear picture with all of those ideas that you decide to pay attention to. If in the process of doing that you end up not even being capable of properly defining what is useful for you and what is not, you will obviously lose time in unnecessary knowledge. But a proper mind will find utility even in the tiniest of the ideas, because being critical enough will, quote unquote, ensure that what you are doing aligns with that particular goal that you have. So, to a certain extent, you can live a life full of useful and obviously um, interesting knowledge for the sake of your life goal, or you can find yourself always struggling with the main principle of, as we said before, establishing even what is it that could be in any particular way, good or not, for those aspirations that you decided to aim towards. So, with all of that said, I do think there are some type of ideas that are certainly unnecessary, but if you were to find themselves, or if you were at the very least to dedicate enough time to the consideration of them, you might find them quite useful once you have rationalizing of how is it that they can be integrated into your life. And I mean, uh, that's the whole idea. There, that's where it finishes. But I was thinking about this also because I noticed something quite interesting, and that is we have a lot of tools that we have decided nowadays to call negative. But maybe in the future, if we're capable of giving, of, as they will say, repurposing them, we might find them to be quite interesting and quite beautifully beneficial for us, because we were capable of, as it happens here, that you need to search which types of knowledges you are containing and which type of times you're giving yourself into certain types of activity and whatnot. The very same thing applies here. We have a lot of things that we have nowadays decided to call negative, but in the future, if we're capable of finding them a proper utility, we might very well reshape them so that they can be then utilized for the sake of once again serving us in the pursuit, in the eternal one of those aspirations that every single human has, be it whichever one and anyone has decided to define for themselves. But yeah, that's everything so far. Uh, Also, Krita was about to crash. It didn't crash. I don't know how, but yeah, that's everything that I can say uh, up to this point. I don't know. I was trying. I would have liked to have something easier, but yeah, I ended up choosing at a random, a not so simple question. My bad. Anyways, that's all, I guess. As always, it has been, even if it is true that it was quite a heavy topic, quote unquote, we did it. We survived the analysis of something not so not so simple. So yeah, with that I can say that I am content. I feel like so. Yeah. As always, thanks for everything. But we're going to make the call here. I can't. Sadly, I should have woken up earlier, but I am working on that still. So yeah, this is everything for today. Probably I will try my best, and probably tomorrow. I hope so. I already have said too many times tomorrow, and I don't appear. But please believe in me when I say that tomorrow I will try to be here. But yeah. Anyways, as always, it has been a pleasure, and it has been quite quite a nice time what we had to do. But yeah, it has come also the time to leave because I run on a timer and I have run out of time myself. My bad. I will wake up earlier. My bad. Anyways, as always, people, thanks for all. Thanks for here. Thanks for watching. Thanks for lurking. Thanks for watching the world. Thanks for everything. It is a pleasure. And well, today, raid, as always, because it is necessary to raid. Raid, we're leaving. We're going into Cringeling, who is playing Dead by Daylight. But yes, anyways, people, even if we don't get to see each other anymore anywhere else, remember to be happy, people. Remember to stay hydrated. Remember to rest. Remember to do whatever makes you good and be fulfilled with whatever you want in life. Do not let nobody bring you down. You can also make it, but you need to aspire. So yeah, anyways, now more into the mundane. We're raiding. We're living into Grinseling, who is playing Dead by Daylight. Get yourself entertained. Goodbye. Oh, wow. Hidden messages. No, there is nothing hidden here.